The aim here is to move from a Fusion 360 file into a lasercut file using Adobe Illustrator and via a PDF file. So here we go. First you've got to create a drawing from your 3D Fusion file, and the best way is right clicking on the name of the file, create a drawing, create new, and you're going to go from scratch. You need to create a template which you can remove all of the extra drawing lines and tables. So choose it from scratch. I've done a blank template already. Click OK, and that allows you to edit the title blocks. So once you've got the dialog box popping up here on the right, you need to make sure that your object orientation is correct. So select the view that shows the top of the object with all the lines that you want to see. Mine's obviously not in the right spot there, so I'm going to choose go from front to top, and now it'll be in the right view. I'll place it right on the top left hand side, so when I place it onto the laser cutter, it'll make best use of the material. Now the style should be very important, visible edges. Click OK, and now you can see you can highlight and select the line work that you don't want and hit the delete key, and it's gone. The next stage is to output to a PDF file, so click the output button, PDF. You can click OK for all those details. That'll be saved in some location, probably your desktop, as a PDF. When you name it, make sure you name your file with the appropriate name. So you want to be naming it with something that you can recognize, and so I can recognize it as well, please. So put your name in there, save it, and from here we're going to move into Adobe Illustrator. So Adobe Illustrator is coming up. Open it up. It will take a while to load, and when you've got it to the situation where you can see the loading screen, create a new file. When you create a new file, the dialog box will open up and you'll see it on the right hand side of the screen. You must get this stuff right, so I've put the 640 by 425 as the artboard size, and then it's very important you choose RGB color, red, green, blue color, and make sure that's the case, and your measurements are in millimeters, and then you can open a new artboard, and that'll be 640 by 425. That's the size of the laser cutter. You're now going to go to the place menu from file, and from here find your PDF that you created with your design, and you can place it. Click the place button and then left click on the spot where you want it, so up on the top left hand side, so that we're not cutting a spot right in the middle of a sheet of expensive plastic. Next you're going to go to save as, so save this file as an Adobe Illustrator file. At the moment it's brought in as a PDF. Make sure that it's saved as a .ai Adobe Illustrator file. Click the save button. Good. And now it's sitting there. The next stage will be for us to make sure that all the settings are correct, which they look like they are. And then we're going to make this a little bit larger so we can see it a bit more easily. And you can do that by hitting Control plus and then jiggling the object around using your slider keys, your slider tabs on the bottom left, so you can see it fairly clearly. You want it to be big. That's good, that's visible now, and you might have a bit of playing. Sometimes you can lose the object on the artboard, so move those sliders slowly, otherwise you go off into space. And you can roll your middle mouse button roller if you want to lift it up and down. Okay, now we're going to select some lines and create some cutting lines. Cutting lines are red and they're very, very thin. That's how the laser cutter recognizes them. So we're going to convert some. The black lines will be engraved lines, but the very thin red lines will be cutting lines. So the intensity of the laser will increase to cutting, and it will remove those bits. Now I'm selecting some inner sections here which I want to cut. I want to have those bits removed. So I'm going to go on the right hand side here now and change the width of the point, or the I think it's called a stroke, to 0.01. So it's very fine, and when I click OK, the lines will become very, very fine lines. Now, they're blue. We want to change the stroke to a red color. It's got to be full 255 strength red on the RGB spectrum. So you select the red there and change it to 255, which is the maximum intensity, and click OK. Now you'll see it's a bit frustrating. Nothing much has happened. When you look at the box here which has stroke, you'll see that the colors are indicated are correct, but something's gone wrong. Why is that? And this will probably happen to you. And the major reason is because your profile is set to grayscale. So no matter how many times you type in 255, you're still not going to get a change. So to get it off grayscale, double click, and you can go and look down here, color, on the color scheme here, and then across to the right you'll see all the colors there, but they're all grayscale colors. We need to go all the way across to the far end once you've selected color of that little item, this box here, and I'll show you in a minute. There we are, and go from grayscale to RGB. Once you've done that, you get the correct color palette, and now you can see my lines change to red. Although it's rather too thick, I need to change that line back to 0.01 thickness. The stroke is 0.01, and it's a red color. So if I click there, you can see that it's a very light line, but it's still red in color, and it highlights, and that's a cutting line for the laser cutter. Now I'm going to do the same with the key tag hole, and some of, just for fun, some of the open spaces inside my name, I'll have those cut out so they'll fall out, and there'll be a few different interesting patterns. So the same issue here now, you'll probably see that it's defaulted again to grayscale. So I'll need to, you'll find, I'll just go through the exercise so you can see how it goes wrong. Click OK. We're back to the same situation. The stroke is still grey. We need to change it to red. So open up your color palette again. So you can do that by double clicking on the stroke box next to where it says stroke there, and then you can see, it won't help, you'll need to go across to the stroke box again, and then eventually open it up on the right hand side, and you'll find there, that's it right there, you'll find where it says grayscale. Go to RGB again and select it. Now I haven't yet worked out how to default the RGB, but I will tell you when I do find out. And now you'll see that these lines, well, once you selected them again, the lines will go to red. And then when they're that thin red color, they're just about ready for us to complete and cut. And we'll place a bit of plastic on, there we go, up to the RGB, and they're red. And now of course we've got to change the stroke point to make it 0.01. So yeah, so when we place the plastic on the cutter, the laser cutter will bring this file, this Adobe Illustrator file in, and it'll be just like a print file. Don't worry about making those sort of weird things. I'll Control Z out of that, and let's change the font, the point I should say, of the stroke to 0.01. The color's correct. I'm just selecting it again here now. So, and if you remember to hold Shift down when you're selecting multiple objects, and it'll treat them as the one object. It just saves you a whole lot of time. There you go. And so from now, we'll go to left out the hole. Now make sure you get rid of all of the printing when you type 0.01, so that you don't end up with a millimeter or some sort of syntax error there, or it won't accept your change. So delete it all and just 0.01. And that should satisfy the laser cutter, and it should be good from there. So there you go, there's your laser cut file, some cutting edges, and the black is for engraving, and it's all completed. So you get to that stage, well done.